Okay, let's do review of numbers 4 and 5. So number 4 is another two proportion problem, and it's just talking about the varieties. They're looking for things that are resistant to cedar apple rust. And so what they have is a couple of strains of trees. They've got the parent strain. And so they've got the ones that are the parent strain, and they want to see if how resistant those are to the apple cedar rust and the new strain. So those are our two different situations, okay? They are under the same field condition, so we don't have any confounding variables. So what you have then is the two proportions you're comparing. The proportion of the new strain trees with serious apple rust infection and the proportion of parent strain trees with serious apple rust infection. Okay? So you get one sample and then you imply or infer that to all of new strain and all of parent strain trees. We are to give a 99% confidence interval for the difference between those. Now, you do a panic model for a confidence interval. So, you still are doing the parameters. You are still doing the assumptions. So, random is assumed that each sample is representative of their population. So, both samples are assumed to be representative. Independent, you have to do this for both populations because it's for two proportions. 50 is less than 10% of all new strain trees, and 100 is less than 10% of all parent strain trees. Don't forget this, that the tree groups are independent of each other. Large enough has the 22 that had serious apple rust, and 38 did not, and that was in the 50 new strain. And then in the parent strain, 61 had the infection, which meant 39 did not. Those being all greater than or equal to 10, the normal model applies. So I went to the calculator and I did a two proportion Z interval, and that gave me this interval here. Now, let's notice that this interval has a negative and it has a positive. So again, this is what is important to determine or to understand and interpret about this interval. So first of all, we did new strain minus the parent strain. So if we did new strain minus the parent strain to get a negative result, that means that the parent strain was 39% more, had up to 39% higher rate of infection. Okay, so the two groups, it's between 39% higher for the parent strain. Okay, so 39% went with the parent strain. And then, since this is a positive 5%, that meant that the new strain was the bigger number. So, up to 5% higher for the new strain. So in some instances, it could be possible that the new strain had a higher proportion of apple rust. And we are 99% confident of those things. And again, it's important to note that since 0 is in this interval, then there could be no difference at all. That's the key. So you would expect, if you did a hypothesis test, you probably would not reject their equality. You'd probably not have the evidence to reject because our interval doesn't really show that there is a difference.